You're born in Rome, 126 AD. And congratulations! You've just entered the world as property. Your mother is a wet nurse, which means she's valuable enough to keep alive and fed, but not valuable enough to keep her own children. You're pulled from her breast within hours, so she can get back to work feeding someone else's baby. You spend your first years being raised by other slaves. Think of it as ancient Rome's version of communal childcare, except nobody's doing it by choice. By age 5, you're old enough to understand the household hierarchy. At the top are the domini, the master and mistress who own everything, including you. Below them are the freed slaves, then the skilled slaves, then the general laborers, and at a special tier all your own, the wet nurses and the girls being groomed to replace them. Lucky you. You're not educated like a scribe's child might be. Instead, you're constantly monitored. Every few weeks, an older slave woman checks your weight, your health, examines your chest for early signs of development. She asks if you've started bleeding yet. She makes notes on a wax tablet that gets reviewed by the household steward. The message is crystal clear. Your value depends entirely on your ability to get pregnant and produce milk. You hit puberty around 13, which means the real monitoring begins. Congratulations, you're now a walking milk factory in development. Your diet gets adjusted. More protein, more milk, fewer acidic foods. You're given lighter work duties and assigned a sleeping area closer to the other potential wet nurses, away from anyone who might distract you from your sacred calling of future lactation. This is when you meet Marcus, a field slave who gets rotated into household duties. You start talking during meals. After a few months, your master notices the attachment and decides it could serve his interests. They graciously allow you to contubernum, an informal slave marriage. Quick ceremony, iron rings, and a borrowed white tunic. How romantic. For a few months, you almost forget this arrangement exists purely for their benefit. Almost. The pregnancy happens naturally. Thank the gods for small mercies. Some wet nurse candidates get assigned breeding partners based purely on physical compatibility, or worse. But you get to conceive a child with someone you actually care about. You give birth after 9 months of knowing exactly how this will end. The baby is healthy, perfect, and yours for approximately 18 hours. Then she's taken to be raised by other slaves, while you're cleaning up and presented to the Cornelius family, whose newborn son needs a wet nurse. Upper-class Roman women rarely nursed their own children. It was considered undignified, and more importantly, it would delay their ability to conceive again and produce more heirs. So they outsourced motherhood to women like you. This is where you're supposed to feel honored. The Cornelius family is wealthy, connected, and influential. But you're not allowed to grieve for the daughter you'll probably never see again. You're not allowed to ask questions about her welfare. Your job is to transfer all that maternal energy to the Cornelius baby, to love him like your own child, while never forgetting that he's definitely not yours. The nursing routine becomes your entire existence. Your diet becomes even more controlled. No garlic, no onions, no wine that might affect milk flavor. Every aspect of your behavior gets monitored to keep you calm and productive. A full night's sleep becomes a luxury for the wealthy. You're up at 2 a.m. for feeding, then 3 a.m., then 6 a.m. You've learned to sleep in increments, snatching rest between the baby's demands. And Marcus, your husband, he's immediately transferred to field work. Wet nurses can't have husbands interfering with their milk production or emotional focus. Days turn to weeks. The distance between you and your little family grows with each passing day, each feeding, each sleepless night. Naturally, you develop genuine affection for the Cornelius child. How could you not? You spend more time with him than anyone else does, including his actual parents, who have other priorities. You feed him, soothe him, hold him when he sleeps. But you're constantly reminded that this bond is temporary and one-sided. You're not his mother. You're just his wet nurse. After 18 months, the child is weaned and you're reassigned. The first separation is devastating. Another child you've grown to love, gone forever. But by the second household, the Flavius family, you're learning to manage the attachment. By the third, you've developed what might be called professional distance. You still care for each child, but you've learned not to completely shatter when it's time to move on. The pattern repeats for over 20 years. You nurse children across different households, moving from family to family. Each assignment lasts 12 to 18 months. You learn to love efficiently and let go cleanly. It's a skill set nobody puts on their resume. But something unexpected begins to happen. The Cornelius boy never gets sick. He walks at 10 months, speaks in full sentences before his second birthday. Maybe it's the extra protein in your diet. Maybe it's the fact that, unlike most wet nurses, you're actually in good health. Or maybe the rich just love a good myth. Either way, word spreads. When the next child you nurse, from the Flavius family, shows the same freakishly early development, people start whispering. By your third assignment, Partitian families are competing for you. They offer extra payments to your owners, send gifts of fine food to support your milk quality, and try to outbid each other for your services. You're no longer just a wet nurse. You're the wet nurse, the one everyone wants. For the first time in your life, you have something resembling power. Not freedom, don't get ahead of yourself, but leverage. Your owners begin offering small tokens of appreciation, upgrading your quarters with plush bedding and modest comforts. You're still property, but you're valuable property, and everyone knows it. This continues for over 15 years. You're at the peak of your profession, moving between the most prestigious households in Rome. Senators' wives send personal requests. You have your pick of assignments, your own small retinue of servants to attend to your needs. Then around age 43, you notice the first signs. Your milk production starts to waver. Some days are fine. Others, you struggle to meet the child's needs. You try to hide it at first, adjusting your diet, drinking more fluids, anything to maintain the flow that's been your ticket to the good life. But biology doesn't negotiate. By 44, your milk production stops completely. You've just lost the only skill that made you valuable. And it's not like you have a 401k to fall back on. You're reassigned to household duties, scrubbing floors, emptying chamber pots, hauling firewood, washing linens. All the work you've been exempt from for 2 decades. The transition is brutal. For over 20 years, you were specialized labor with status and comfort. Now you're doing whatever nobody else wants to do. You move from your comfortable private room back to the general slave quarters, sleeping in a space you share with 6 other women. The food goes back to basic rations. The small luxuries disappear overnight. Your body, soft from years of good treatment, struggles with the physical demands. Your body aches constantly. Your hands crack and bleed. You realize just how grueling the traditional slave's life really was, and how much you'd forgotten during your years of relative privilege. The years crawl by. Your hair turns gray, then white. Your spine curves from decades of labor, first from nursing, then from scrubbing floors. At 62, you're ancient by slave standards. One winter morning, you're scrubbing the entry hall when a soft voice makes you freeze. A woman is asking about someone who might have worked here many years ago. You straighten up slowly, your old joints protesting. The woman standing before you has your eyes. She looks to be in her 30s, about the right age. She's well dressed, confident, and free. Your heart pounds, but you don't dare let yourself hope. She explains that her mother was a wet nurse here, someone about your age now. Her eyes study your face with growing recognition. When she smiles nervously, you see Marcus in that expression. Your voice comes out as barely a whisper. What was her name? She doesn't know. She was taken from her mother when she was just hours old, but she's been searching for years. She earned her freedom, married well, and now has the means to find her mother, or to buy her freedom if she's still alive. You drop the scrub brush, your hands shaking. She's alive, you manage to say. She's right here. The reunion is everything and nothing you imagined. She helps you to your feet, holds you while you both cry, and within hours, she's negotiating your freedom with your master. The transaction takes 3 days. A small fortune to you, pocket change to her. For the first time in your life, you walk out of a Roman household as a free woman. Your daughter takes you to her home, a modest but comfortable house with a garden where you can sit in the sun. For 8 months, you live as a free woman with your family. You die peacefully in your sleep on a warm spring morning, your daughter holding your hand. It sucked to be a wet nurse slave in ancient Rome. But then again, it sucked to be any kind of slave in ancient Rome. But hey, at least you got 23 years of relative privilege, 8 months of true freedom, and a daughter who never forgot you existed. In the end, the most important bond of all found its way back to you. A far better ending than most Roman slaves ever get. You're born in Roman Judea. It's a land of taxes, sandals, and daily prayers where the most exciting thing to happen this month was a goat getting loose in the temple courtyard. Your job prospects? Either farming, fishing, or being crushed by taxes until you resemble a sentient raisin. You grow up just like every other good Jewish boy, learning Torah by candlelight, helping your father fix a leaky roof, and dodging Roman soldiers who have way too much armor and not enough chill. You pray for peace. Instead, you get the 3 C's: curfews, crucifixions, and census forms. Years pass and you're in your 20s. You choose to work as a shepherd. It's not glamorous. You sleep next to sheep. You smell like sheep. And occasionally fight off hungry wolves with a stick you named Sword of David. Life is simple, predictable, safe. Then one day you hear rumors. Some guy named Jesus is wandering around Galilee talking about the kingdom of heaven, healing people, flipping tables, and saying very un-Roman things, which is usually unsafe things. And unsafe is not your thing. So you assume it's another prophet, maybe a little dramatic, but definitely not your business. Well, until it becomes your business. One sunny afternoon, while you and the wolves next door are watching for the other's next move, a man walks up with a 12-man entourage. He says he's Jesus. You wonder if he's the same Jesus you've heard about. This one hasn't got sandals of fire, just a carpenter turned rabbi with intense eyes and the vibe of someone who knows exactly when you last cried. He says 2 words: follow me. And for reasons you still can't explain, you do. You leave the sheep. You leave your job. You leave your family without even finishing your figs. And just like that, you're not a shepherd anymore. You're a disciple. The 13th to be exact. Which, as you'll soon learn, is ancient Hebrew for unpaid homeless public relations intern for the Son of God. Enjoy the ride. It's been months since you gave up your life to follow a carpenter. Not just any carpenter. Jesus of Nazareth. The one people whisper about. The one who can make a blind man see and make a tax collector give up gold. You left your sheep, your parents, and a perfectly decent clay mug in the rush. Now you're on the road. All the time. With 12 grown men and 1 Messiah. It's not glamorous. You sleep under the stars, or in barns, or wherever someone doesn't throw rocks at you. Your sandals die. Your feet blister. You eat what people give you, which is often fish. Always fish. Dried fish, pickled fish, fish so old even seagulls decline politely.
Nope.
Damn you, Peter.
Huh?
Every day starts the same. Sunrise, prayers, walking, more walking, then more walking.
Bruh.
You think your legs might detach themselves in protest. But Jesus walks like he's not even touching the ground. Peter calls it holy stamina. Jesus teaches while walking, in parables. Always parables. He once asked him what something meant. He smiled and said, "He who has ears, let him hear." You have ears, but apparently the wrong ones. Matthew says it's deep. You think it's confusing. The miracles keep coming. Lepers healed. Demons cast out. A paralyzed man walks again. People cheer. Then they mob you. Some cheer. Some spit. The Pharisees frown so hard it makes your chest hurt. They call you a heretic, a fool. Say you're following a demon-possessed magician. They promise fire and judgment. You try not to listen, but you remember every word. The Romans? They don't care about your theology. They just see crowds. Crowds means unrest. Unrest means crucifixions. And you?
Huh?
You're caught in the middle. Too Jewish for the pagans. Too pagan for the priests. You miss your old life sometimes. Shepherding. Quiet. Temple prayers. Now you've got dust in your eyes and blisters on your soul. You want to believe all this will make sense. That you're not just wandering toward a Roman sword. But Jesus keeps going. And so do you. The group has dynamics. Peter acts like the big brother. Loud, impulsive, the first to speak and the first to regret it. He argues with everyone, including Jesus, and somehow keeps getting away with it. John is gentle, always asking big questions and writing things down. James, the other Thunder brother, snores. Like thunder. Then there's Judas. He handles the money. He's always watching, always calculating. You try to like him, you do. But something's off.
Huh?
His eyes don't smile, even when his mouth does. You don't say anything because no one else does.
Nope.
But you keep your distance. At night, Jesus prays alone. For hours. Sometimes crying. You pretend not to hear. But it scares you. After all, what could make the man who raised Lazarus cry? Some days you believe, truly believe. Other days, you wonder if you've lost your mind. But every time you think about leaving, you remember his eyes. The way he looks at people. Like he already knows everything broken in them. And still smiles. So you follow. Through storms, through mobs, through miracles, through miles. You don't know where it's all leading. But something in your gut whispers, it won't end that way. 3 years have passed since you became a disciple. And you're in Jerusalem. You've been here before, sure, but not like this. Not with Jesus. Not with crowds shouting Hosanna and throwing palm branches. Not with the Messiah bouncing gently on a borrowed donkey like it's some kind of holy parade float. It feels like victory. Like maybe this is the moment he finally does it. Overthrows Rome. Crowns himself king.
Wow.
Fixes everything. Except he just looks tired. Not like a conqueror. More like someone walking towards something heavy. The city's on edge. The Pharisees are watching. Roman soldiers mutter from the shadows. Judas? Still lurking. Still quiet. Still suspicious. Every time he clinks the money bag, your spine flinches. You've said it before and you'll say it again. There's something off about him. And every time you say it, someone rolls their eyes and tells you to be charitable.
Nope.
But charity has limits. And yours ran out 2 towns ago. Then comes the supper. A quiet room. Wine. Bread. Laughter that feels forced. Jesus stands and says, "One of you will betray me." Everyone freezes. You glance at Judas. He's buttering bread. One by one, the others ask, "Is it me?" You don't bother. You just stare at Judas. He's fidgeting, then excuses himself for something urgent. Hours later, you're in the garden. It's late. You should be asleep. But Jesus asked you to stay awake. You fail. Everyone fails. Then soldiers with torches wake you up. Judas leads them straight to Jesus and kisses him on the cheek, like a friend. The same Judas you never trusted. Peter explodes, draws his sword, slices off someone's ear. You panic. Jesus tells Peter to put the sword away. Then he heals the soldier. They take him. Just like that. Peter follows at a distance. So do you. You hide in alleys. You watch from the shadows. Someone tells you Peter denied knowing Jesus.
Nope.
3 times. You don't believe it. You catch Peter outside crying. He doesn't say anything. You don't either. You can't watch the crucifixion. You just don't go. You sit behind a wall, close enough to feel it, far enough not to see it. You remember what he said. In 3 days, I will rise. So you wait. Everyone else seems to be running, scattering, hiding. You stay in Jerusalem. You don't sleep. You don't speak. You just sit, eyes on the horizon, counting hours, watching shadows. Because if he was wrong, then everything you gave up, everything you saw, everything you believed, was all for nothing. But if he was right, then nothing will ever be the same. 3 days. That's how long you sit in silence, holed up with the others. Windows shuttered, voices hushed. You barely speak, except to repeat the same terrified mantra. They'll come for us next. Then, the knock. It's Mary, breathless, eyes wild. She says Jesus is gone. Stone rolled away. No body. Neatly folded burial clothes like he just finished doing laundry. Peter bolts. You and John follow. You've never seen Peter run so fast. You've also never seen him cry and laugh at the same time. Until now. You reach the tomb. And it's true. Empty. And for a few minutes, no one knows what to feel. Hope? Grief? Gas? Nobody knows. And that's when he appears. Jesus shows up to Mary. Then to the 2 on the road to Emmaus. Then to the rest of you in a locked room. Because apparently, resurrected Jesus doesn't knock. He just appears. He says, "Peace be with you." Which, frankly, is a terrible opener when you've just popped into a room like a ghost. You scream. Peter screams. Even Bartholomew screams. And he hasn't said much of anything in 3 years. But it's him. You know it. The way he smiles. Thomas isn't there, of course.
Nope.
And when you tell him later, he calls you a liar. But when and Jesus appears to him, he believes. And you never let him live that down. You even come up with a nickname for him. Meanwhile, you hear Judas is dead, hung himself. Some say his guts spilled out. Some say his land is cursed. You don't care.
Nope.
Eventually, Jesus gathers everyone, talks about the kingdom, tells you to wait in Jerusalem. Then he floats.
What?
Literally. Into the sky. Clouds take him. And you all stare like confused children watching a balloon disappear. Except this balloon is never going to pop. So you stay in Jerusalem. You wait. Then Pentecost. Wind. Flames. Voices. Suddenly you're speaking languages you've never learned. Preaching in tongues. Quoting scripture you only half understood before. People think you're drunk. At 9 a.m. Peter sets them straight. Delivers a sermon so good, 3,000 people decide to get baptized immediately. From that day on, it's like a wildfire. You preach. You heal. You run. The same people who cried Hosanna are now telling Rome you're a threat. You duck through alleys. You sleep in cellars. You preach in synagogues. Well, until they throw you out. Then you preach in the streets, in homes, in tombs if you have to. And every time you say his name, someone listens, someone changes, and someone else sharpens a blade. This is your life now. You spread the gospel, dodge arrests, change towns, repeat. You've become what Roman bureaucrats call a known agitator, and what your friends back home call probably dead by now. The miracles are still happening. People are still getting healed. The word is spreading. But so is the danger. Rome's got a new emperor now. They call him Nero, and he's a real pain in the neck. Like, off with his head kind of pain. Because of him, the group's scattered now. Some went east, others to Greece, and others to Egypt. You're in Syria this week. Or maybe Galilee. It's hard to keep track. Every city looks the same from under a hood and behind a veil. The meetings are secret. The baptisms are fast. The food is always bread, fish, and tension. Sometimes in a safe house you see Peter. He still has that fire in his eyes. Still bossy. Still brave. You once saw him curse a demon out of a woman, then trip over a chicken. Balance. You share war stories. He asks how you're holding up. You say, still breathing. He says, for now. You both laugh. It's not funny. You get new members. Paul, formerly Saul, joins the team. At first, you're skeptical. After all, he did try to kill all of you. But he's got zeal, connections, and way too much energy for a man with 3 stonings on his resume. You heard Stephen was stoned to death for preaching in the wrong place at the wrong time. James, son of Zebedee, executed by Herod. No trial, no warning. You get the news secondhand while hiding in a storage room behind a butcher's shop in Samaria. You don't cry. You just sit there, staring at a sack of onions for 3 hours. The authorities aren't just arresting you anymore. They're using your name in wanted scrolls. You're no longer a disciple. You're one of those disciples. More names disappear. Thaddeus, gone. Bartholomew, flayed alive. Thomas, killed in India, they say. No bodies, just rumors and grief. You keep going. You keep preaching. Because stopping feels worse. The fear doesn't leave. It just moves from your chest to your gut and settles there like a rock. You change names now. You travel under aliases. Josephus. Nahum. That guy with sandals. But some people still recognize you. You were with him, they whisper. And for a second, You smile, because yeah, you were. You're 70 now. Not that anyone's counting. No one celebrates birthdays when the Emperor's trying to kill you. But your knees crack like temple doors, and your beard's gone completely gray. If you had stuck to shepherding, you'd be retired now. But at this job, there's no stopping. You've been preaching for decades, walking across deserts, hiding in tombs, baptizing in rivers, and writing letters no one will read for thousands of years. But luckily, or unluckily, you've outlived almost everyone. Peter was crucified upside down in Rome. Wouldn't shut up about Jesus, even while dying. Andrew, tied to a cross for 2 days, still preaching between gasps. James, thrown from the temple, then beaten with a club. They didn't just die. They were ended. Loudly, publicly, as examples. Only John, who is called the unkillable now, survived everything they threw at him. Got exiled to some rock in the sea, probably still writing poetic riddles and surviving on lizard stew. But not you. Not yet. You still talk about Jesus. But fewer people listen now. The empire is tightening. Churches are scattering. Some have gone silent. Some twisted the teachings into whatever gets them less dead. Others, most, just vanished. You think about quitting, about slipping into the hills. Let the next generation carry the cross. Literally. But then you see someone healed, someone forgiven. A child smile when you tell them the story. And someone always asks, was it true? Did he really rise? And you say yes. Because after everything, the fear, the loss, the running, you also saw something come back to life. One night you're alone. Some nameless village, some borrowed roof. You walk out beneath the stars. Same sky as the night in Galilee. And for a second, you hear it again. Not angels, not thunder, just Jesus, laughing as Peter hands you fish, while he hands you bread, telling you not to be afraid. You smile. Maybe this isn't the end. Or maybe it is. Either way, you were there. You followed. And that was enough. You die quietly. No epilogue, no pyre, no crowd. Just old bones in a cold room. A breath let go, like a prayer. Years pass. Then centuries. The Romans fall. Other empires rise. No scrolls bear your name. No churches chanted. The world forgets the 13 disciples. But heaven remembers. And maybe that's all that ever mattered. Congratulations! You've just been born in 1st century Judea. Your people worship one God, read right to left, and absolutely hate the Romans, who unfortunately control everything from your land to your taxes to the sandals on your feet. You're Jewish by birth, broke by default, and Roman by force. What a combo. Your parents are pious, poor, and proud. The problem piece. Your father is a scribe who makes just enough to feed the family, but not quite enough to bribe the local centurion to stop walking into your home like he owns the place, because legally he kind of does. Your birth is celebrated with prayers, a circumcision, and a gentle reminder that your people are waiting for a Messiah who definitely won't be you. Life is simple. You play with goats, eat olives, and try to avoid stepping on Roman soldiers who treat your town like a training ground and your uncle like a tax bill in human form. You hear words like Gabba and Mokes whispered with venom. Bad words. Traitor words. Well, when translated, they mean tax collector. But the truth is nobody likes a tax collector. After all, everyone knows they're the worst. Even you know. So, people aren't wrong. But, spoiler alert, That's you in about 15 years. But for now, you're just a baby. Wide-eyed, innocent, pure. So enjoy it. Because once you learn to count, and Rome learns you can, they're going to make sure your people forget you ever belonged to them. Years go by, and you're grown now. 5 years old to be exact. And this is when you figure out two things. Number one, your mom prays harder when Roman officials pass by. Number two, your dad swears louder when paying taxes than he did during your birth. By 7, you're already a math prodigy, mostly because counting is survival. You count coins, debts, olives, goats, and how many times the tax agent knocks before taking the rug off your floor. The local Roman tax collector, let's call him Marcus the Merciless, rides in on the 15th of every month with guards and a scroll thicker than your thigh. He smells like arrogance and olive oil. He can't speak Hebrew, but he can point. And when he points, people lose things. You see, families go from modest to floorless overnight. You see friends disappear when your parents can't pay. You learn that tribute means congratulations, your food is now Rome's. Meanwhile, the priests tell you to keep the Sabbath holy. The Romans tell you to keep the taxes coming. Your school teacher tells you arithmetic is your future. You were hoping that meant merchant. Maybe even scribe? But no, you're good with numbers. Really good. And one day, someone's going to notice. Not a rabbi, not your father, no, someone far worse. But for now, you're just a smart Jewish kid in Roman-occupied Judea. Too smart, too observant, and very, very screwed. Now you're 16. Normally, you should be studying for Torah, chasing goats, or pretending not to like Miriam from the olive stall. But no. You're sitting in a stone building with a Roman official who smells like moldy figs, learning how to calculate civic duty. Translation: you're becoming a tax collector. How did this happen? Simple. Someone told someone that you're smart, good with numbers, and fluent in both Aramaic and Latin. That's 3 red flags, and a fast track to unemployment from your own people and job security from Rome. The pay? Pretty good. The perks? Fewer beatings. The reputation? Lower than a leper in a synagogue. Your parents tried to turn you to the side of good. Become a goat hoarder, a farmer, a fisherman, or even a temple scribe, they said.
But you just don't see yourself toiling away like them, you say.
Your mom is heartbroken. Your dad, livid, and disowns you. They don't even call you by your name anymore. Now, you're Gabba, a minor collector. Small time. But you believe that when the gold coins start coming in, they'll come around. So you collect market tolls, transit fees, and minor tributes. It's the tax collector starter pack. Broken stall owners, widows with too many kids, and one goat farmer named Ezra who somehow dodges every payment. And your friends? Gone. Vanished. The kid who used to share figs with you in class now spits when you lie. Your uncle pretends not to recognize you at the well. Your cousin calls you a Roman dog, and that's before he throws the date bed. But Rome smiles. The local government pats your back like you're a loyal mutt. Keep it up, he says, and you'll be promoted. You almost believe that's a good thing. You used to dream about becoming a rabbi. Now you count silver for people who'd gut you for a loaf of bread. But hey, at least you get your own scroll now. Congratulations, you've made it. At the age of 33, you're no longer some rookie Gabba scraping tax pennies off goat farmers. You've been promoted. Now you're a publicanis, a full-blown certified Roman-backed tax farmer. Your sandals? Imported leather. Your house? Has a mosaic floor. Your reputation? Lower than the Dead Sea. Sure, Rome loves you. They send you gifts, wine, even on your wedding. Not because they like you, but because you're profitable. Like a well-oiled debt machine with legs. Your name gets passed around like a useful broom. He gets results, keeps the locals quiet, hated, but reliable. But among your own people, you're unclean. Literally, you can't step into a synagogue anymore. Not after that stunt with the widow's vineyard and the temple tax. The rabbi didn't say anything, but the look he gave you might as well have been a lightning bolt. The neighbors whisper. They cross the street. You show up at your cousin's wedding, and they pretend you're the servant. You give a generous gift. They re-gift it to the pigs. And you? You eat alone. You sleep alone. Your wife only married you because you were her best option out of the brothel. Your son won't use your name. The only silver lining is that your parents accept him. You, by the way, are still dead to them. Your servants respect you, mostly because you pay them triple to ignore the insults painted on your walls every other week. You tell yourself it's fine, that you're just doing your job, that someone has to collect the tribute or Rome will send soldiers. But deep down, you know the truth. You don't belong anywhere. Not with your family, not with your people, not with the empire. Just somewhere in between, with a big house and a very well-defended front door. You're 50 now. That's a decent age, especially for someone who's been dodging sandals, curses, and the occasional donkey-based assassination attempt for 30 years. You've collected enough silver to bathe in. You've got property, staff, influence, and absolutely no one who'd sit Shiva for you. Even when your parents pass away, the temple still won't let you in. The Roman governor doesn't return your scrolls. Your old friends now run trade stalls and pretend they don't remember you. And the younger tax agents? They're hungrier, meaner, better hair. Then one day, a shiny new recruit shows up with a license from Rome. Your license. No warning, just a scroll that says, "Thanks for your service." You're relieved. Relieved. Like a boil. You try to appeal to the higher-ups in Caesarea. They say they'll look into it. You never hear back. But your successor, he gets a cart, 2 guards, and your office. Now you're just retired. Rich, but radioactive. The local market won't sell to you unless you send a servant. The last time you showed your face at a family gathering, your cousin's toddler threw a matzah at your head and screamed, "Traitor!" And honestly, you took it. Because he wasn't wrong. Congratulations. You're 59 now. You'll be 60 in a week. Normally, there should be a big party, but you don't bother, since you know nobody's going to be there. Well, that turned out to be a good thing, because 2 days to the day you turn 60, you die in your sleep. Peacefully. Which is frankly shocking considering your job. No dramatic stoning, no poisoned wine, no vengeful widow stabbing you with a menorah. Just one night, your heart gives out. Possibly from cholesterol, possibly from regret. Who's to say? Your funeral is small. Your household staff is there. The goat herder from down the road shows up, but only to spit on the grave. Someone mumbles a blessing. Your tombstone gets misspelled. 2 weeks later, kids are using it as a urinal. The rabbi does not mention your name during prayers. The community pretends you were never born. When your old house is sold, the buyers call it the cursed one with the blood coins. Charming. As for your legacy, your son becomes a baker. He doesn't talk about you. Ever. Your name? Struck from the temple records. Your coin stash? Confiscated in an audit by Rome. Irony is delicious. And centuries later, when people talk about publicans, they still don't like you. You're a cautionary tale. A footnote. The guy whose life was one long receipt and still ended in overdraft. But, hey, at least your handwriting was impeccable. That's the end of your story. Rich, alone, unforgiven. A man who taxed everyone and died owing everything. You're born in Rome, some years before a guy named Jesus is born in Bethlehem. Congratulations! You're not just another baby swaddled in wool. You're imperial blood, which means you don't just belong to your mother or even your father. You belong to Rome. Forget wood and lullabies. Your crib is carved marble, guarded night and day by slaves who'd rather die than let a fly perch on you. Senators and generals visit to pinch your cheeks and mutter prayers. Not because they love you, but because someday you might decide if they live or die. Cute, right? Your father is the emperor, which means every morning you wake up inside a palace that's both a gilded nursery and a cage. Marble halls echo with senators' footsteps. Guards line every corridor. The Praetorian Guard, those polished thugs in armor, don't protect you from danger. They remind you of it. Every visitor, every banquet, every whispered conversation in the corners of the palace carries the same undertone. One day, this will all be his. Lucky you. You're 10 years old when you realize childhood is a luxury you'll never get. By the time most Roman kids are playing in muddy alleys, you're standing rigid beside your father at ceremonies. The Forum isn't a playground. It's your stage. While plebes chase pigs through the street, you're expected to sit still as foreign kings bow to you like you actually matter. And while other children chase hoops in the street, you chase Latin declensions, Greek philosophy, and the art of not crying when a rhetorician calls you stupid. Congratulations! You're not being raised as a child. You're being raised as an heir, and tutors swarm you like flies. Philosophers, grammarians, orators. You're forced to master both Greek and Latin so perfectly that if you mispronounce one syllable, a senator will smirk and scribble it in the margins of history. You practice speeches in front of mirrors until your throat aches. You spar with wooden swords until your arms give out. You kneel through ceremonies until your knees scream. This isn't childhood. This is a rehearsal, and the audience is restless. Every time your father smiles at you in public, eyes narrow in the Senate. Every time you stand beside him during a triumphal procession, someone in the crowd mutters that Rome doesn't need another boy emperor. And in the shadows, daggers always get sharpened. Rumors thicken. Conspiracies, poisonings, plots. You pretend not to hear, but you do. Everyone does. Even your father looks over his shoulder too often these days. At night, while tutors drone on about duty and destiny, you already know the truth. Your life is a countdown. And when that dagger finally finds your father, Rome won't ask if you're ready. They'll shove the purple cloak onto your shoulders and call you emperor. Childhood ends with an assassination. And the worst part? You're starting to believe that your destiny isn't waiting for you. It's already wrapped around your throat. You're 16 when your world changes forever. It starts the way it always does. Whispers in the corridors, praetorians shifting uneasily, senators looking a little too polite at dinner. Your father still plays the part of Rome's god on earth, but even you can see it. The paranoia, the sudden silence, the wine tasters working overtime. Then one night, it happens. Your father, the emperor, war hero, the man who smiled to you only in public, doesn't walk out of his chamber. The guards do, holding the kind of silence that says, don't ask. Poison, daggers, illness, doesn't matter. The details blur. After all, Rome runs on rumor. The only truth is that your father is dead. And you don't even get to grieve. Before the body's cold, the Senate gathers. The Praetorian Guard marches in with a smug that says, we decide who lives. And suddenly, every eye turns to you. Congratulations! You've just been promoted to emperor. You're still a teenager. You haven't even kissed a girl, and now you're supposed to kiss the imperial seal. They drape the purple cloak around your shoulders. It feels less like silk and more like a shroud. The laurel crown digs into your scalp, heavy and cold. You stand in front of the Senate, a room full of old men who all secretly think they could do the job better than you. And you give your first speech. Your voice cracks. Half the senators smirk. The other half size you up like livestock. But none of that matters, because Rome doesn't care about you. Rome only cares that the throne isn't empty. So you smile, pretend you're not shaking, and accept the cheers of a crowd already wondering how long before someone murders you too. But you ignore the negatives. After all, you're officially the ruler of Rome, the most powerful man alive. At least that's what the marble statues and coin engravings say. Reality? You're the world's most important hostage. The Senate smiles and praises your wisdom. Behind closed doors, they debate how gullible you are and which general to marry your sister to for leverage. The Praetorian Guard swears eternal loyalty, which really means pay us in gold or we'll stab you in the back. Even the people cheer your name in the forum, but they were the same mouths that chanted, "Ave Caesar!" and also chant, "Death to the tyrant!" the moment bread runs out. Your every move is stage managed. Want to take a walk? 10 guards shadow you, protecting you, but really they're just reporting back to who you talk to. Want to pass a law? Good luck. The Senate will filibuster you into madness until you grease the right palms. Want to trust someone? Terrible idea. Half your friends are spies, the other half are future conspirators. And the paranoia. Oh, it's endless. Every banquet, every goblet of wine, every slice of figs could be poisoned. Your taster drinks first. You watch his eyes. You start watching everyone's eyes. And if this keeps up, you'll soon be flinching at shadows. So you lean into the theater of it. You ride in triumphal processions like your father once did. You sit on a golden throne during circus games while gladiators split skulls for your amusement. You host banquets with roasted peacocks and rivers of wine. You act like a god. Because if you don't play the part, you won't live long enough to regret it. And yet, every night it gnaws at you. You're not ruling Rome. Rome is ruling you. The Senate, the army, the mob, even your own family, each pulling a string, turning you into their puppet. You're not an emperor. You're a prize everyone's fighting over. And deep down, you know how these stories end. Few years pass and you turn 25. You thought you could just mind your business and the empire would leave you alone. Well, you thought wrong. First, the Senate tells you that you need an heir, that an emperor cannot be unmarried at 25. You call their bluff, telling them there's no such law. The next day, the Senate tries to pass such a law. It fails. Just when you thought you were done with that saga, the captain of your guard tells you how sad it will be to die without an heir. You're shocked. You know he's threatening you. You just never expected him to be this direct. But then you realize that these were the same guards that killed your father. So you give in. But you vow to use your marriage to gain allies. You get married to the daughter of your father's fiercest political rival. You believe he had a hand in your father's murder, but you just can't prove it. Everyone believes you've run mad. They ask how you could ally with a man your father disliked. But in Rome, a young emperor would take every backing he can. You've gained an ally and lost an enemy. You've just killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Your marriage proves to be good for everyone. For your rival, he's now got imperial backing. For the guards, they get paid for giving you good advice. For you, it gives you political backing and gets the Senate off your back. At least for now. A year later, you welcome a son. He reminds you of your younger self. You fear what the empire will do to him. So you show him love. You take him everywhere. You even give him the title of Caesar, which means he's next in line to the throne. You dream of leaving him a greater Rome than the one you got, something your father never did for you. So you cooperate with your father-in-law to be a better emperor. You use him to keep the Senate in check. You pay the guard handsomely. You tighten the treasury and tell yourself you would outlast the whispers. You tell yourself you'll beat the odds. But the whispers soon turn into knives. You are 35 when Rome turns on you. Your son gets poisoned and dies, or fever, depending on which liar you ask. Your allies fall one by one, always betrayed, always conveniently accused of treason. Each new trial ends the same way: executions, exiles, confiscations. Your father-in-law goes first. The evidence is airtight, not because of the sophistry of your enemies, but because it's true. You wonder why Rome has forsaken you, till you find out why. A new rival, a general has risen, and it seems he's coming for your throne. And now every soldier in Rome looks at you with fake smiles and murder behind their eyes. You could lay low, but you want revenge. You try to find out who is directly behind your son's death. but you find nothing. So you stop waiting for daggers in the dark and start swinging first. You let the delators, the professional informants, run wild. They denounce senators, generals, even old friends. You try to slander the upstart, but it goes nowhere. The general is squeaky clean. The treasury swells with seized estates and the prison's overflown. You sleep a little easier until you realize every denunciation could turn back on you. You realize that powerful men who were neutral are starting to support your rivals. Even some from your camps do so. They tell you it's because they are scared that you'll target them next. You only see it as betrayal, so you target them too. Because of this, paranoia soon becomes policy. You stop doing public walks in Rome. You retreat to your villas, high walls and higher cliffs between you and your enemies. Messengers bring you the news of the city, riots, trials, executions. You nod, sign, and drink your wine in silence. People call you a monster now, but the truth is simple. You're afraid, and in fear, you indulge. You turn punishments into sport involving dangerous animals. Banquets blur into parties dedicated to the god Bacchus, the god of wine and ecstasy. The parties always get wild. Historians will call it depravity. You call it a distraction. Anything to drown out the truth. That you're alone. That the empire only loves you when you bleed for it. Your couriers bow lower. Your statues shine brighter. But Rome itself grows colder. The people see you less and less. To them, you're already half a ghost. An ugly rumor haunting an island while others scheme for your throne. And you know the final irony. Rome is all you have, and it's killing you. You're 40 now, and Rome doesn't even pretend to like you anymore. The Senate sits in silence when you enter, and you can hear the scratching of styluses, notes for your obituary written early. The Praetorians still salute, but their eyes linger too long on your back. You know what that means. Your banquets have grown quieter. Nothing pleases you anymore. The wine doesn't taste right. You watch your taster drink first, but still, your throat burns with every sip. You can't tell if it's poison or just paranoia. Either way, it chokes you. Whispers chase you through the marble halls. Tyrant, madman, monster. Maybe you are. But you learned the rule early. Mercy is weakness, and weakness is death. So you keep signing the decrees, keep beating the delators, keep strangling Rome before it strangles you. And then the hammer falls. That general wins too much glory in the provinces. A senator makes one toast too loudly. A praetorian forgets to look afraid in your presence. Suddenly, every shadow sharpens into a dagger. You're 41 when it happens. Another night in your villa. Another banquet that tastes like ash. The torches burn low. The air heavy with wine and whispers. You dismiss the musicians early. Their songs grate on you. Only the Praetorian Guard remains, stationed like marble statues in the hall. But statues don't watch you this closely. Statues don't shift their grip on their blades. Statues don't smile. The first hand clamps your shoulder. Too firm to be respectful. Too cold to be loyal. You open your mouth to speak, but the second hand is already at your throat. They throw you to the ground. Your crown tumbles, rolling useless across the tiles. You thrash, shout, curse them as cowards. But they don't answer. They've been trained well. They just pin you, each man heavier than the empire itself. Then the knives come. Small, clean, efficient. Not one glorious stroke, but a dozen patient betrayals. A blade finds your side. Hot pain blooms. Another nicks a rib. Breath sharpens into a gasp. You grab at a hand, at a tunic, at the marble beneath you. Everything slick with your own blood. You try to rise. You cannot. Your knees buckle. Your voice thins to a rasp. You taste iron. You see the torchlight flash on blades that used to salute you. The men you trusted, the men sworn to protect you, stand over you like executioners who've done a job well paid. You die not as an emperor, not as a god, not as Rome's master. You die knifed on your own floor, the purple cloak sullied with your blood. They sheath their knives, adjust their helmets, and leave you there. You are the problem of the Libertinarius now, which is just a fancy word for undertaker. The Empire doesn't pause to mourn, because before the year runs out, the new emperor is crowned. Military merit, the Senate says. The general gives a speech, condemns you as a tyrant. He elevates his supporters, pays the guards, and then tries to kill them all as fast as possible before history can repeat itself with him. Because in Rome, anything can be justified for the empire. So, congratulations. You ruled the greatest empire in history. But you couldn't even rule your own guards.